Today, if you have any sort of entrepreneurial aspirations, you want to listen up because we got a very special guest, Lucy Guo. How much money would you say you made in second grade? Like maybe, just a ballpark.
A few thousand, probably.
Let's go. That's great.
I was always trying to figure out ways to make money. I was selling like Pokemon cards on the playground. And then my parents were just taking my cash because they realized that was the best punishment for me.
Taking the cash that you earned.
It was crazy.
Do you think that I could go on ChatGPT and say, I'm doing a podcast with Lucy Guo, give me prompts?
Like
I think so,
questions?
yes.
You look up those prompts?
No, I got some great questions right now for you. And also, ChatGPT knows you.
People always want to give a chance on younger people and like mentor them essentially. Like, for example, if I get an email from like a high school student and she's like, oh, okay, cool, like I just learned to code, I'm making websites, like can I talk to you? I'm more likely to say yes to that person than like some 40-year-old.
All right, welcome to Extraordinary, the most extraordinary podcast in the world. And today, if you have any sort of entrepreneurial aspirations, you want to listen out because we got a very special guest, Lucy Guo. She has repeatedly proven that success in business and startups, it's not luck. She's done it time and time again. And thank you for joining us, Lucy Guo. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm really excited. You know, this is the best way to kick off the weekend. So
Right.
I get to hang out with two amazing people and talk about life.
Let's go.
So you're a serial entrepreneur.
I mean, I guess you could call me that.
I mean, you are, right?
Yeah.
You've founded multiple startups, both as an operator and in investing, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite one?
My favorite one is definitely the one I'm currently working on.
Good
Passes.
answer.
That's good.
Yep. It's different, right? Like the first company was very like B2B enterprise heavy, which I actually think is very brute forceable because you just ask companies like, hey, like what is something I can make to that you are willing to pay for and how much are you willing to pay? Which is exactly what we did with Scale.
Okay.
Versus consumer is like different. Like it's not as brute forceable. Like a lot of the time, like consumers themselves don't even exactly know what they want. You always want to listen to product feedback, but then there are features that we ship out that like creators don't tell us that they want and ends up being great and they love it, which has been really fun. And then like with Passes also, I get to make my friends rich, which is always fun.
Yeah,
as well.
that's a good
Yeah.
feeling.
Uh-huh.
So you have the domain passes.com.
Yeah.
Was that hard to get?
No, actually, my thing was always like look up like 5-6 letter domain names and see what's available. And we saw no one was using passes.com, and we had a few other options too, moment.com, etc.
Did you buy moment.com too?
We were going to, but then what had happened was we got like it was trademarked already.
Okay,
So
okay.
by a competitor that actually got acquired. So they got mad at us and we're like, okay, cool, let's just do Passes. And then what was cool about that story was after we bought it, super cheap by the way.
How cheap?
I can't say, but
Yes, you can.
Five figures.
Yes, you
five
can.
figures.
Not bad, not bad.
So
Yeah.
I bought
5 figures is
I bought
legit.
Energy X for 10,000.
I bought Sweatsonic.
EnergyX.com.
I bought Sweatsonic.com for $20.
Wow.
Exactly.
Come on, you got to tell
Yeah.
us.
It was like 70K.
70K?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
But
5
what
figures
was
is pretty
even
good.
better was the owner of the domain was like, wait, I didn't know you were founding the company and you bought the domain. Can I just like invest and give you the domain?
Oh,
So he invested
perfect.
an uncapped note and
Nice.
then we got the domain.
It's
Nice.
even better, even
Yeah.
better.
So for our viewers that may not know what an uncapped note is, can you explain that?
It means that the money that's going into the round, it's going to be at the next round's valuation. So they're taking a really big bet on you. Because if you like get it, like you invest 100K at an uncapped note before the company's even starting, if they raise at like, let's say a $50 million round, you're not getting like any extra terms. Like,
Right.
But people do it because they want allocation in the round because like rounds are often oversubscribed. So like we just raised a 40 million Series A in February and I didn't really let anyone in because it was way oversubscribed. And that's like a way of guaranteeing that like you're in that round. And that guy got in at that valuation and he was, I guess, like in the round because he had committed earlier.
Right. Lucy's a savage at raising funds, which I've heard is the most difficult thing for founders to really do in XL, and that's what you do. So what are some of the tactics that you can tell people that they can do if they wanted to raise funds, or what kind of tips would you give? What's the best thing that you've learned when it comes to it? Like you want to build some FOMO for people, or what is it?
Yeah, so I would say fundraising is very similar to like the Kickstarter effect, which is like people are sheep and they will follow when they feel FOMO. So one thing that like I learned during like Y Combinator, et cetera, was that you always want to say you're raising less than you're trying to raise. So you're trying to say you're raising 2 million, say you're raising 1 million, then it becomes oversubscribed. You can raise the cap, et cetera, et cetera. So when I was raising for my first company, what I had done was I set all the meetings up in 1 week. I always try to have the meetings I don't care about first as practice rounds, but I give the investors FOMO by saying like, hey, I'm going to be in this area like Sand Hill Road during these days. I have a lot of meetings, so like, can we have it during this day? And then they are automatically like, oh my God, she's talking to like every single investor. I need to like get in on this. And once it becomes like oversubscribed, everyone starts rolling in. I would say like have been pretty bad at the Kickstarter thing though, and that like for our seed round I wanted to raise like 3 million and it ended up being 9 million. So I overdid it, which isn't always the best thing because you get overly diluted, but it does work, and I was able to like bump the valuation up a ton too.
Let's go back to the beginning though, because not many people can just go to Sand Hill Road and book meetings, right?
True.
How did you like, what's the founding story of Lucy, and how did you become a serial entrepreneur? And like, you know, not everybody might have that mindset or, you know the things that you know about. You obviously at some point learned about a convertible note or learned the tactics of raising capital in a successful way. What does the beginning look like?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in the Bay Area. I had very strict Asian parents.
That'll do it. Asian parents.
I was like bullied for being poor, and I was always trying to figure out ways to make money. I was selling like Pokemon cards on the playground, colored pencils. I was mowing lawns, etc. And then my parents were just taking my cash because they realized that was the best punishment for me.
Taking the cash that you earned.
I was hiding. It was crazy. I was hiding it in like the middle of Harry Potter books, and when I would open it next, it'd be gone. And I'm like, they're literally just. I don't even know how they found it.
So you're making your own money in second grade.
I was like starting in kindergarten, honestly.
Kindergarten,
but then I started making
an early entrepreneur.
Early,
I started making money on the internet in like second grade. Discovered Neopets.
On the internet.
Discovered that PayPal was a thing, and back then you could just open up a PayPal account with like a Visa debit card. So I went to Home Depot, got one, and like opened a PayPal account.
You got your own debit card at Home Depot.
Like Visa, you know, like the little gift cards.
It's like a
but
gift
it
card.
Works. It activated
It
PayPal. So then I was able to like start making money on the internet. So I was really addicted to online games.
Because your parents can't take that money.
Yeah, exactly. So I started making bots, and there were like a lot of forums that would teach you how to do these essentially. And then I started selling like Neopets, like actual Neopets accounts, like in-game items, etc. And then decided I wanted to build my own virtual pet site, and then recruited a bunch of like engineers and designers and artists for free.
And this is in second grade?
Second grade was when I was like bodying, and then I would say I started like making different websites onwards.
How much money would you say you made in second grade? On average? Like maybe, just a ballpark.
A few thousand, probably.
Let's go. That's great.
Yeah, because like it was like a Neopet could sell for like $1,000.
Were your parents entrepreneurs, or like what do you credit this ingenuity to? Where you're, I mean, how old are second graders? 7 or 8?
7, 8. Yeah,
we're young.
Like where did it come from?
I'm not actually too sure. My parents were not entrepreneurs. They were software engineers.
Okay.
Or electrical engineers, my bad. And they, I think I have always had a chip on my shoulder because my brother was always so much smarter than me. He like skipped 5 grades in math, and like he was taking, I think, AP Calc BC the same time I was taking AP Calc BC.
Yeah.
When he got grounded, it would be like, okay, you can't play chess anymore. You can't like go on art of problem solving. It's pretty wild. So I think I always just like wanted to like prove them wrong and that like I was worth something.
So you're selling Neopets in second grade, and do you remember the first time that you hired someone?
I think I was basically, I want to say 6th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade was when I was like, I'm going to build my own virtual pet site. And then I had managed to recruit a bunch of artists, designers, and like engineers to work for me for free. It was wild. Have no idea how I did that. I wish I could do that nowadays. But yeah, we built a like little pet site and got honestly a decent amount of users. That one didn't make that much money though.
Right,
But it was fun. It was like a Pokemon concept where you would like travel a map and then you would find a pet and then try to catch them.
Pretty cool.
Are Neopets almost like NFTs of the day, or like I'm unfamiliar with Neopets.
It's just I could never have a pet growing up, so it was a virtual pet.
A virtual pet, yeah.
Kind of like a digital Tamagotchi.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Very interesting.
Awesome.
Very interesting. And so what was next then? After, did you sell that business, or it kind of you just moved on? Or
I just moved on. I think like if we fast forward a little bit, I discovered hackathons in college. I started going to these hackathons. I realized the world was like a lot more than just internet marketing tools and bots. And
you taught yourself how to code.
Yeah.
Online.
And then I ended up studying CS in college as well. But yeah, I like went to hackathons. I would say like I really learned how to code probably during these hackathons because you would like very quickly learn a new language. Like I wasn't familiar with Objective-C, and then I learned it within a weekend and was making apps, right?
Let's go.
Which is awesome. So, I started realizing like I really just like products. Like I love building products. I wanted to build products that like millions of people used. So that I would say is like the start of my entrepreneur journey.
Yeah. Wow.
What would you say that the biggest lessons you've learned when it comes to, creating a successful business or startup, early stage? What are is it you want to be lean? Is it you need the right people? Do you need good co-founders? What would you say is most important?
So I would say being lean has always been something that like has almost been my problem. Like I don't like spending money, but I should be spending money when it means there's like if you can measure ROI very effectively, right? But yeah, I've always run lean, and I think it's definitely the right people because they say that if you hire A players, then like they're gonna hire like probably A players, but once you start hiring like A-, they hire B, then B hires C, and then the quality goes down significantly. And then I would also say like you never really regret firing someone. Like oftentimes you can wait too long to fire someone, but like I don't think anyone's ever like regretted firing someone. And I think just like be very careful when hiring your friends.
Yeah. My first business was in Los Angeles, and it was when I was at USC, and it was an entertainment company. It was actually a record label, my first successful business. And I ended up hiring a bunch of my friends, and those people are now my friends again today. But when the business kind of ended, we had a great run together. It was probably a 7 or 8 year run. Wow. But when the business ended, there was a little bit of a falling out, and that sucked because these were friends before we started the business and during the business. Like we all lived together. You live in a house with some of your coworkers now, or is that
not anymore? But we did.
Okay. Yeah. Is that was for passes, right?
That was for passes. We finally got a new HQ. We took over FaZe Clan's spot, but yeah, we decided to make like a house and office. So we would work 24/7.
Yeah.
I have lots and lots of questions, but first I want to touch on where Passes is today and where it's going.
Yeah, definitely. So today we've built a bunch of tools to help creators become entrepreneurs and monetize their different revenue streams. So we have subscriptions. We've built a CRM system in your DMs. We have live streaming, one-on-one calls. We have a marketplace where you could sell digital and physical products. I think eventually, like, I want to make creators like unicorns essentially. I think creators are businesses, and I think this is possible through many different avenues, from like angel investing. Like one of the biggest things that I get asked is how do I turn my passes income into passes equity. I think it's possible through products. When you look at like the largest creators, they have very little marketing cost, but they're building products with like tons of revenue, like Jake Paul with W, and even like Better, Logan Paul with Prime, like Kylie Jenner with her lipstick, etc. And I think that like every creator has the opportunity to build something that fits their brand.
So those are top creators. I mean, you're talking about the Paul brothers, you're talking about Kylie Jenner. Spence is an influencer / creator.
It is. That's right.
1.3 million followers on Instagram. How would passes apply to somebody like Spence?
Yeah, well, I think Spence could do like fitness content, our website, for example. He could create fitness products. But I would say like for smaller creators, they're making tons, like our largest creators, like in terms of revenue. So the ones that are making like 100,000 to 500,000 a month, they're actually like all under 1 million followers. So they're smaller. And I would say like for them, they might not create a product that's going to be worth billions of dollars, but if they invest like
They can use that capital and
exactly.
invest in other things.
Yeah. Like our early angel investor in Scale, $100,000 turns to like hundreds of millions.
Right.
And like that's only going up. So I think that like they could take literally a month's worth of income and into the right company, it's generational wealth.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of these early angel investments that become unicorns potentially, like Scale AI.
Yeah, exactly.
Is a real opportunity for creators that are providing their services to something that they can monetize on. Is that?
I actually really believe in passes, and I think you guys are doing a pretty noble thing in helping creators where they need help the most. And unless you've been living under a rock, you know that we're living in a creator economy, right? It's getting stronger and stronger. And I think it's going up, and it's going to explode even more than we are now. You know, you look at the world, and what is it? Only 25% of the world has smartphones or the ability to get on there. What happens when everyone in China is on a smartphone, or everyone in Africa is on a smartphone, or more people in India? It's going to be even more. I think we're not too far away from creators with 1 billion followers, you know, and the micro creators and the niche influencers are just going to be growing as well along the way. So.
Yeah, especially because like apps like TikTok have made discoverability a lot easier. But I think you can even see the trend with like our younger demographic. Like if you ask the average kid, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? I think there's a survey that said that like the majority of kids nowadays want to be creators.
Everyone wants
Everyone
to be a YouTuber,
yeah,
TikToker.
exactly.
That's it.
That's definitely a U.S. thing. Is that also the case in China and
That
India?
I don't know. Oh.
Yeah,
I
all
did hear
U.S.
that-
kids want to be YouTubers.
I did hear that the China TikTok algorithm is way different. You know, they're emphasizing STEM, while over here we're emphasizing, TikTok dancing. So it's a little different. Yeah.
You must have a view on the U.S. government potentially banning TikTok if the parent company ByteDance, which is a Chinese company, doesn't sell TikTok. What do you think happens there?
I think it's very unlikely that TikTok does get banned. Like, I think it is going to stay. But right now, I've been poaching a lot of TikTokers, and it's been great because there is uncertainty within TikTok. Like, the employees aren't too sure. Like, I would say, like, a lot of the employees I've talked to are 50-50. So it's been very beneficial to passes. Cool. I would personally like TikTok to stay. I like the ideal scenario is like they do sell to like a U.S. entity, right? And then it can stay because it is like the one app that where creators can like really have that discoverability, and one viral video can change their life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about the U.S. government flexing, trying to force China to sell a multi-$100 billion company.
Yeah. Yeah. It's wild.
If that actually transpires, that would be incredible. Yeah.
Yep.
So a moment ago, you mentioned Scale AI, which was your company just before Passes,
Yes.
right? And you were a co-founder of that, and then you had a great exit, right? What was that like? The whole life cycle of starting a company all the way through to exit.
Well, it's actually never exited.
Oh, it hasn't?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Scale's still running. I ended up starting a venture fund after Scale.
Okay.
So Scale's still running, but you sold the company, or you? Okay.
I have a lot of paper money.
Okay, got it.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Do you want to sell that, or is that something that you can't do right now? Or
it's definitely something that I'm looking to diversify in right now.
Cool.
It's just rough because California taxes.
Yeah. Move to Puerto Rico, like my boy.
Yeah.
That's fun.
I was watching one of my actually favorite podcasters is a guy named David Rubenstein. Do you know David Rubenstein?
No.
So he's the founder of the Carlyle Group,
Okay.
Which is a multi-billion-dollar asset manager, and he's a pretty old guy. I think he's maybe in his 70s or so, and he wears these big glasses, and it's part of the Carlyle Group logo. But he was just interviewing Kim Kardashian, and her co-founder of their venture fund, which I think is called KK is in the name. I forget what
Not sure.
But it's interesting that you have a venture fund and people like Kim Kardashian are also starting venture funds, and it really crosses over with kind of like the creator economy. How do you see parallels between your venture fund and maybe what Kim Kardashian is trying to do?
Yeah, so I think we have very different theses. So, like my venture fund, we invest in the best engineers and early stage. My hypothesis has always been like if you can code, there's like essentially the ramen effect. You can live with pretty much zero burn, and you have unlimited time to like find something that works. And it's all about perseverance. Like I have a close friend where it took him like 7 years to continuously pivoting until like he found a company that worked, but he didn't give up, and that's like incredible, right? And if you look at even like honey's history, like they pivoted a ton before they founded honey, and then they sold for $4 billion. So I really don't care like what someone's working on. Like my last angel investment I made, it was in who I thought was the best engineer at scale, and I didn't even ask for his idea. Like he was like, I'm starting a company. I'm like, okay, great. Like,
do it.
How much did you invest in that?
Oh, I only had 25K allocation.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
Okay,
25K.
Still.
Yeah, but you know,
That could turn into something.
It could turn
incredible.
into something a lot. Yeah.
That's the example you were giving before, where
Exactly.
that 25K could turn into a couple million or more.
Exactly. So I'm really excited about that one. But I do think that like I always tell creators like they should start a venture fund, because being a creator allows you to like essentially get allocation. And you kind of see this with like I think Noah Beck, Josh Richards, they were a part of Animal Fund.
Chainsmokers.
Yeah, Chainsmokers have a fund, etc. And like the Chainsmokers I think are brilliant. Like they specifically invest in like B2B enterprise, so they don't need to like advertise companies.
Brute
because,
force, like you're talking about.
Yeah. What happens when like I think with creators, oftentimes like if they start a venture fund and they like the founders believe that the creators are going to like tweet and like help promote their products, right? So they allow the venture fund to invest into the round, but it's just not realistic for like
For it to convert.
creator. No, it's not realistic for a creator to promote like 100 different companies, because that dilutes their brand.
Right.
So I think the way creators need to do it is like kind of like a benchmark model, whereas like large checks, like one company a year that you can actually focus on, but that hasn't really been what creators have been doing. The Chainsmokers are smart because they don't invest in products that they need to promote. And founders let them in because they just want to go backstage.
They just want to be cool. Yeah.
I would let the Chainsmokers in so I could go backstage.
Exactly.
That's a good deal for them.
Yeah, it's a great deal because they could just be like, oh, come to our Vegas show. Everyone's backstage anyways in Vegas. And they get allocation in the round. And like
zero
these
marketing.
founders have never experienced something like that.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Smart move.
Who are some of the investors in the $40 million Series A that you just did with Passes?
Yeah, so we really did not let many people in, but Bond led the round. So that's Mary Meeker's fund. She's a legend in Silicon Valley. The Skims founder, Emma and Jens Greed.
Skims,
Kim Kardashian's
Kim
brand.
Kardashian's brand, okay.
Yep. We have K5, so that's Michael Kivas' fund, and they like did 818 and a bunch of other things.
818 is Kendall Jenner's tequila brand.
Yep. And then I let my friend Alexandra Botez in. She's an influencer,
Nice.
chess
Get her
and
in.
poker player.
Let's go.
Yeah, and I think that was like pretty much all I let into the round. It was a very tiny round.
Small round, but also big
Yeah.
round. So you've been a pretty savage on the business side of things, but you also.
Oh, sorry, I forgot.
Yeah.
I forgot. I have to say his name because
Yeah.
he's been amazing. Michael Ovitz, the founder of CAA.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's
Yeah.
important. Don't leave him out.
And has Michael's relationships at being at CAA helped Passes yet, or do you have a vision for that?
Yeah, I would say that with celebrities, it's definitely more like an enterprise sales process. But pretty much anyone that we want to get to, he's like gotten to. He's incredible. Yeah.
I have a somewhat similar experience. We have Ari Emanuel on our advisory board at Energy X.
He's the head of WME. Is that what it is?
He's the CEO of Endeavor, which is the parent of WME. Yeah, and I think Endeavor is like a $15 billion company. They owned UFC for a while, and then they merged UFC with WWE and took it public. And the stock ticker for that's TKO. Yeah. But Energy X was on the cover of New York Times. And I get this call. I'm sitting in my boxers on my couch one morning when it came out. And I get a call. And the record label that I used to run, one of our artists had WME as their agent. So on the caller ID, it says WME. I'm like, who the hell could this possibly be? And a nice lady is on the phone, and she goes, is this Teague? I go, yeah. She goes, I have Ari for you. And I was like, holy shit. Because I grew up watching Entourage.
Right.
And Ari Gold was like my hero.
The dude,
you know,
he's
the dude.
Lloyd.
Yeah. So I'm like, yo, you're like, I watched your show, or like, you know, obviously not, but I went to meet with him, and in the meeting, he just starts calling people in the middle of the meeting, introducing me to some of the most powerful people that I've ever spoken with. And he was just so giving with his relationships that I offered to make him an advisor and give him shares in the company. And it really made me realize that those people that go out and do something for you first, as opposed to like me having to ask for that or asking for shares in order to give back to me, is one of the reasons why he's so successful.
Yeah, abundance mindset, I think, instead of scarcity. Right?
Like, I have all these people here. I'm going to open my Rolodex up for you without asking for anything in return.
Yeah, I kind of tend to like want to be a little bit more generous to people that kind of have that mindset and attitude, and just kind of just do things without even asking for anything in return, right?
Yeah, I think that
It's a
luck
green
is
flag.
created, and I think that's like actually how you create luck. Essentially, if you're just nice and giving, and then you're going to meet the right person that wants to help you.
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I agree. All right, so Lucy, incredible with business. Also, I don't think I've met another girl that can run 20 miles an hour on a treadmill. And then also parties on the week, she's a full weekend warrior, festivals all over the place, having a great, living life to the fullest. Where do you find this work-life fitness balance, and how do you kind of manage and do that? Where do you get that from?
I would say I'm constantly on a routine. So I wake up at 5:30 a.m. every day. I do the 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. berries, and then I'm at work early, and then I just eat at my desk. So I probably am working from 9 a.m. to midnight daily. Then I sleep, I repeat, I get a decent amount of sleep. Like I would say, like sometimes I sleep earlier, sometimes I sleep later. And then weekends, I'm constantly online, but I will give myself, like the day to do fun things like this. I'm going to go to Malibu.
For sure.
But I thought about it, and I didn't realize that like when people went on vacation, I didn't realize until recently that when people went on vacation, they just go offline. I did not know that was a thing, because I thought about it. I was like, I don't think I haven't like worked then, or I haven't taken a vacation in ever in my life.
There's no vacation.
I thought it was like when I'm on like vacation, I'm still on my laptop working at least a few hours a day, and then like I'm on my phone, and like if I get a Slack message, I'm gonna respond within a second, no matter where I am.
That's why your rounds are oversubscribed in a day.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But I've had to tone it down a little bit. Like, I'm not at Tomorrowland this weekend, which makes me very sad.
That's fair.
Have you been to Tomorrowland before?
I haven't. It's been on my bucket list.
I haven't been
That's
either.
on my bucket list too. It looks incredible.
Yeah, maybe next year.
Yep.
I think that's the #1 music festival, like rated by.
It is supposed to be, but I heard the crowd at EDC is better.
Yeah, I think EDC probably has to take the cake.
EDC Vegas.
I have a feeling
EDC
I would
Vegas.
like EDC more than Tomorrowland.
I've been to EDC Vegas. I went to EDC when it was in
Orlando,
LA before it got moved to Vegas. It's a good one. Coachella is more my speed. EDC is I think it starts at like 8 or 9 p.m. and goes until 6 or 7 in the morning. That's obviously for a certain type of person, and I've done that.
I think you sleep during the day, but then the lights and the sound, it really pumps up the adrenaline. So I find it very easy to like stay awake during EDC because of that.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So back end capital. Let's touch on that for a little bit. How many investments does the fund have? Do you have some favorites? Do you have some winners yet? Have there been losers?
Yeah.
What's the running a VC experience been like for you?
Oh man, so we have like around 100 investments in backing capital, and we do have winners. Obviously, like the winners are the ones that carry the whole fund.
Right.
So I think I would say our largest winner is Ramp, which is basically took the concept credit cards, but like in the past, credit cards have always been about points, right? Which causes you to spend more, and they're like, let's
got my
flip
Ramp credit card right
Love
here.
it. Yeah. So we got in the seed round for that, and
Yeah.
that has been. Ramp is the reason why I think at least before, I don't know what place we're at currently, but we were the best performing like fund for vintage year 2019 on AngelList.
Great.
No idea where it is right now, but Ramp has really been carrying it. So thank you, Ramp.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So for viewers or listeners that don't really understand too much about the VC landscape, what's the mindset behind, choosing someone to invest in, and also, you said, okay, the winners make up for all the losers. Can you explain that for some people?
Yeah, so I would say that like we probably have like 6 winners in a fund, 6 to 10 winners in a fund out of 100 investments, which is
6%.
like pretty high hit rate actually, I'd say, for a seed fund. But like those 6 to 10 companies are carrying the entire fund. Like we turned like it's like 8x, right, which is awesome. After a few short years. But I think investing is very different depending on the stage. Like when you're going pre-seed, seed, you're really taking a bet on a person because there's no proof that the product's going to exist. The likelihood that they pivot is very high. Versus when you're doing like a Series A, Series B, Series C, you start looking at the numbers. It's like, do you have a flywheel going? Like, what are you going to use the money for? Like, how do you 10x from here per like round? Yeah.
Yeah, I was watching a clip on Sam Altman. Obviously, he runs OpenAI now, but he ran Y Combinator for many years. And he was basically saying the only thing that matters is the magnitude of your winners. You could have like this ratio of 6 out of 100, right? And that may return the fund today. But if you have that one like ramp that is 100x, that's literally the only thing. If you have one investment that returns a few $100 million, maybe say, that's the only thing that matters.
Exactly.
Because it also helps your brand too. I see these successful companies and their incubators are always like, this was us, and it helps them leverage that for other investments with better deals.
Yep. Like YC invests in like hundreds of companies per batch, and like they have a few winners, but like those winners are YC is probably the best returning fund.
Yeah. I have another friend, Anil Ranadive.
Oh, he's a homie. Yeah.
And so his fund, Soma Capital.
His whole strategy is investing in YC companies.
That's his only strategy.
Interesting.
He invests, and he has hundreds of investments, and it's just YC companies.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So he just lets them do all the work for him.
He has Ramp. Ramp was a YC company, I think.
Yeah. He has us for passes, and unfortunately, we didn't let him into the scale round.
That's fair. Sorry, brother.
Yeah. Wait, so how much was raised for scale while you were working on that?
Oh man, I mean, like hundreds of millions have been raised right now, but while we were working on it, honestly, I don't remember. Tens of millions. Yeah.
And what is your prediction? I read this thing that said today is the first time in history that we can't predict the future in 20 years from now because of AI. We've always been able to, large in part, say where the world will be in 20 years, but today we can't do that. What's your prediction or vision of the future for AI?
I think that the top 1% of people, they're going to still have their jobs, right? Like AI basically helps you do the easy parts of the job very well, so they can focus on like the hard problem solving. I think it's going to make people way more efficient, and it's going to open up new jobs that we don't really know about. Like even right now, like as like forming prompts is like a new job. Like who can actually form prompts really well to get what you want out of AI. And I think we're going to continue to see new things like that. But overall, I think people are worried that like AI is going to take over the world and take over their jobs. So I think it's just going to make someone more efficient.
Boost productivity.
Do you think that I could go on ChatGPT and say, I'm doing a podcast with Lucy Guo, give me prompts? And it would give me some good prompts?
Like
I
questions?
think so, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would come out with some good questions.
Probably.
Yeah.
Should we test it out right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. What should I ask Lucy Guo?
While you're doing that, what's like the next level though? Because the scary thing, or maybe it's scary for some, I don't necessarily think it's scary, is the exponential curve of artificial intelligence. Like we're talking about how it can make, prompts for a podcast more efficient. But, you think about things like driving, right? Autonomous driving. That could potentially eliminate millions of jobs of Uber drivers or truck drivers, things like that. You think about the way that Tesla, Boston Robotics are making these humanoid robots that could potentially displace jobs like cleaning, housekeepers, dog walkers, things like that.
I think
like,
in general,
how far away are we from that?
I don't think we're that far away from that because those are very easy things to replace. I would say technology has always improved society and economy, and that people need to gain new skill sets to adapt. So I do think that like even though those jobs will be displaced, there will be a new set of jobs available for those people to take on.
Agreed.
Yeah, I'm actually of that same train of thought where, a perfect example is the iPhone, where when Uber was created, theoretically you could say that would displace tons of different jobs of taxi drivers, right? But in reality, what it did was create even more jobs for Uber drivers.
Yeah, 100%.
And there's far more Uber drivers or rideshare app drivers than there ever were taxi drivers.
And just improve the whole experience for everyone involved, Agreed.
Yeah, for the customer. You look up those prompts.
No, I got some great questions right now. And also, ChatGPT knows you.
It should.
It's talking about scale AI. It's got stuff in here. And also, it asked you a question that I already asked you. So it's talking about your work-life balance because it knows you're in there doing all these things. Let's talk about your challenges here. What are some of the biggest challenges you face building, things in your career, and how do you overcome them? This is from ChatGPT, people.
Yeah, so I think the biggest challenges I've had is really just, it goes back to hiring and firing. I think that like I can be very overly sympathetic, and this is like probably my greatest weakness, especially when like, let's say I hired a friend that I need to fire. I'm biased, right? And
That's
I have
hard
too many
to do.
feelings. It's so hard to do. And I like my biggest mistakes have been just like waiting too long to let go of someone when I should have. And that's something that like I'm constantly improving on. I've actually decided I'm no longer hiring friends. Unless I've worked with them in the past, because like I did hire friends, like some friends I've hired that I've worked with in the past, like they've done phenomenally, right? But then there are other friends that like, I might have like heard like from them that they were good and they looked like they were good based off their resume and their jobs, but like they weren't a fit for me.
Right.
So that's probably like, it's just like building the culture, and also like,
Is building the culture hard for you?
I think that I can be toxic sometimes, and that I'm working constantly, like I'm.
But not everyone's built like you,
less
so
out. Yeah, and like not everyone's built on me, and I think I need to be like less hard. So recently, I've decided, okay, we're gonna do like a hybrid work model, 4 days a week in the office, 1 day off. But like I know internally, like when I'm in the office and no one else is
That
on
kills
like Friday,
you.
it kills me.
Okay.
And I'm like, don't say anything, Lucy. Don't say anything.
Yeah.
Like even like I was posting on Slack, right? I was like, where is everyone today? And that's scary. Like no employees want to see their boss say that.
Right,
and I'm
right,
like,
right.
well, I guess technically they get 1 day off where they can work from home a week. So like I shouldn't be saying that.
I got it right now. I'll give a huge shout out to Courtney, one of our
Courtney, yeah,
producers,
the OG.
on Extraordinary.
She's the GOAT.
So we scheduled a bunch of guests yesterday, and she was up till 3 o'clock in the morning.
Courtney's the
Sending out
best.
invites.
Yeah, Courtney's the best.
Yeah, those are the type of people that really make a company. Like you're
Yeah.
talking about the A players.
Exactly. Like
100%.
my engineers are online constantly. We have a bug at 4 a.m. They're up fixing that bug at 4 a.m.
So good.
Especially when you're a
yeah.
live website
Exactly.
like you. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially when people's incomes rely on us. If there's like a bug with like messaging, with payments, etc., like we need to fix that ASAP. And we get requests like 24/7 really. I'm pretty sure that like some of my engineers don't sleep.
Yeah.
Kind of concerning, or like they sleep like 4 hours a day. I don't know how they do it.
So how do you go ahead and keep these employees incentivized to work so hard? Is it an equity play? And then if it is an equity play, how do you go ahead and gauge within yourself how much equity to give to an employee or even an advisor, and is it standard? Like what do you do with that?
So I've always been incredibly equity generous for like all my companies. There are tools that you can use. Actually, Pave is another investment of mine.
Let's
that
go.
is
Shout out
a
Pave.
unicorn. But they give you data on like what the like average salaries are, and equity for different cities, and different like companies
At their stage
at their
as well.
stages, etc., which is really great. And I always just go, above market, like significantly above market. So I would say like everyone is incentivized because their equity is like life-changing money if the company, does well, and we are doing well. So they're very, very incentivized.
great.
But also just like have good perks, right? Like if you're in the office, you get 3 meals a day, for example, covered. So that incentivizes you
huge.
to like go into office more.
Yeah.
How
Come
big
eat.
is the team right now?
It's around 20 people.
Nice.
Yeah.
Pretty solid.
Yeah. Pretty small. We're keeping it lean.
Yeah, keeping it lean. Keeping it lean.
And are you planning a next financing round soon, the Series B?
Not planning it. I mean, we just raised 40 million. And
When was that?
It was in February.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have a lot of money and a lot of runway. I think that like I prefer always to be preempted. So our Series A was preempted, where an existing investor is like, hey, like you guys are doing really well. Can I put in like another like 10 million? And that kind of kicked off the round for that 40 million Series A. And I suspect that like that is going to happen again with the insiders. But I mean, it's crazy. I have VCs reaching out to me daily at this point, and I'm like, guys, I just raised the Series A, and you guys saw the amount.
Yeah.
Like we're not burning a lot of capital. Like we were actually cash flow positive earlier this year. So yeah, I don't tell them.
Ridiculous question, but most people under 30 years old are not so smart. How'd you get so smart? How did you? Where did you learn all this stuff? Would you attest it to what you learned in school, or is this, pretty much Lucy from second grade just kind of extrapolated, and now you're here, and this is why you learned so much?
I mean, I think I've just absorbed a lot of knowledge, and I surrounded myself with the right people, right? So like even, for example, with the Teal Fellowship, when I dropped out, I was surrounded by people that were equally as ambitious and intelligent. And I got to meet, I would say, even smarter people through that, because I think that like people always want to give a chance on younger people and like mentor them essentially. Like, for example, if I get an email from like a high school student and she's like, oh, okay, cool, like I just learned to code, I'm making websites, like can I talk to you? I'm more likely to say yes to that person than like some 40-year-old messaging me that.
Right.
So I think that by dropping out also, I got to meet some incredible people. I just absorbed a lot of knowledge in the Valley.
When you say dropped out, you dropped out of college to participate in the Teal Fellowship.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that's where Peter Thiel, who's one of the founders of PayPal
Yeah.
and other things, Founders Fund,
Yep.
gives you $100,000, right?
Yep.
Do you have to give an idea for the $100,000, or how does it work?
Yeah, you do have to give an idea, but I literally just used a hackathon project I had made like the weekend before to apply. Yeah.
Nice.
I think they also invest more into people than idea.
Yeah. What was the hackathon project exactly that you applied with?
It was like an educational game where you could like put in quiz questions, for example. Like think of it as like Monopoly maybe, where when you land on a spot, you have to answer like the quiz. So it helped people study.
Cool.
It was like an e-learning thing.
Cool. And e-learning's blown up.
Ed tech,
yeah.
Ed tech is
massive,
big.
Massive. After doing it all and still doing it now, what advice would you give to your younger self to kind of like maybe give you an edge, or maybe someone that's young and aspiring right now and wants to be like Lucy? Where could they go and what could they do? What would you tell yourself?
Yeah, I would say that the thing I see most young people do is they're not doing risk analysis correctly, where they think that like dropping out, for example, is the worst thing that you can do, or like it's risky, right? And like they could be left with no job. And I think that it's just like not a risk at all. For example, like I knew that I had job offers lined up. People really don't care if you have a degree, if you have the skill set. You could always go back to college, like you lose a year, so what? But always optimize for learning, and be willing to like take what seems like a risk, because it's probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take the risk.
I kind of already know the answer somewhat, but the slogan of Xtraordinary is learning from people who make their own rules. You've already given tons and tons of examples of this. But what are some of the rules that you've made for yourself that kind of stand out in your own mind?
I mean, I would say one thing is just like if I get bored, I'm hopping, and I have like the reputation of being a hopper because of that. But like I think my career is so successful, and I've done so much because of that as well. Like at Quora, I was in charge of, I was a product designer, but I was doing growth essentially. Like I was designing things, A/B testing, etc. I ended up doubling like mobile and web growth. And then they were like, okay, cool. Like we need you to continue doing these A/B tests. And I was like, I'm bored. I want to work on more product stuff. So then I went to Snap, and at Snap, I got to work on tons of product stuff. It was great. Like I worked on like group chat. I worked on like localized stories, which like kind of is Snap Maps now, et cetera, et cetera. And then I got bored again, and I was like, okay, cool, where can I learn more? And then I kind of calculated like, okay, is my equity in Snap like life changing? No, it's not life changing, but if I start my own company, I can learn more, and it would be life changing equity. So let me go do that. And then once I like figured out like B2B enterprise play, and then, you know, I recruited a bunch of labelers around the world to label data, et cetera, hired all the like early team. I just like wasn't super, like it wasn't fun anymore either. And I've done a lot of depth at that point in time, but I haven't done breadth. So I was like, okay, cool. Like let me learn about venture. I've never done investing. Like I want to like learn about breadth. So I started Venture Fund. I got to learn about a bunch of different industries and working with different founders, which helped me hone my skill into like discovering talent. And I think like the strongest asset founder can have is understanding talent, because you want to always hire people that are smarter than you. And the people that you hire is going to make or break your company. Like if you hire like 10 phenomenally smart people that are motivated, even if your first idea doesn't work out, like first of all, those smarter people might have a different idea that like will work. Right. But like it gives you like more pivoting opportunities, I'd say. So got to do that. And then I decided I want to do my hardest challenge of all, which is consumer. And I think that like any investor, like most investors are terrified of consumer, because there's only like a few consumer apps every decade that actually make it.
Yeah, and the market really decides. It's like, okay, does this work or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, the market always wins.
Yeah.
The market decides.
True.
So before you started Scale AI, I didn't know this, you're at Snap and Quora.
Yeah.
So you're obviously an entrepreneur at heart from second grade.
Yeah.
But you did work at some of these big tech companies and probably learned a lot from those. Was it just those two, or was there any other tech companies that you worked at?
It was just those two. I mean, like I interned at different tech companies, but like full time it was Quora and Snap. Snap felt very small, even though it was large, because I was like 20 years old, reporting directly to Evan Spiegel.
Oh, wow.
It was a team of 10 people on the product team, and we really got to do everything. He gave us like unlimited end resources, et cetera. It was great.
Was this pre-Snap IPO or
this
post?
was pre-Snap IPO.
Pre-Snap.
Yeah.
Okay, so what year was that?
2015.
2015. Was this when they were in the house over on the beach in Santa Monica, or?
They were not in a house on the beach anymore, and the product office was actually separated from the other offices at Snap, because it was like his like little secret office, and it was his hideaway spot too. Like he was with us every single day. We would like go in there on weekends and work with him, etc. Yeah.
Very cool. That must have been obviously a really influential learning period for you to then go build your own company.
It was very interesting because like so I had interned at Facebook, and then worked at Quora and Snap, and they're all three very different cultures. But I think like that taught me how I wanted to build product, and I saw like the pros and cons of how each company did it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what's your goal, one, with passes and where you want to take it, whether it's a certain level of impact or a certain number of evaluation, and then also like what's your life goal? Is it only building businesses, or what's like the big picture for Lucy?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I obviously want passes to IPO. That's like every entrepreneur's dream. Cool. I think that like I'm going to define success as like when we actually do build these like unicorn influencers, because that would just be incredible to like, give them generational wealth. Already, like, they went from being broke to making, like, a lot of them like $100,000 to $500,000 a month. They've never seen that money in their life. They're just like, Lucy, like, I need a wealth manager, which is cool to see. And then I think my goal in life, something I've always wanted to do was like start a nonprofit to help combat human trafficking. But I've also come to the realization that sometimes other people do it better than you.
Right.
So like in my head, I'm like, I can combine tech and like figure out ways to optimize catching these predators. However, like maybe someone else is doing it better. Like Thorne uses tech to like combat predators, and like I should just do what I'm good at, which is make a ton of money and then donate it. So we'll see.
Your time's better spent just crushing it, and then have other people focus on that.
So I don't really know yet. Like I still dream about having my own nonprofit, but I'll evaluate in the future.
Okay, cool. What about personal life? Do you want to have kids one day? Do you see that going off? Or
I want 2 kids eventually.
Nice.
Just not now.
After the IPO.
After the
Yeah.
IPO,
Yeah.
More so you have more time with them. That makes sense.
Until the IPO, it's all passes.
Yeah. What about you? You're gonna have kids one day or what?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's
absolutely. I want to have a lot of kids, actually.
Really?
There.
I want to build a little army. At least a starting basketball team.
Like, are we talking about Musk, like 12 kids, or
that's I'm not that ambitious.
Deontay Wilder, 12 kids?
No.
He wants 12 kids. He said
I've thought about 8.
8's a solid
I'd
number.
be happy with 5.
That's a farm.
But I need a lot of farm workers.
Squad.
Yeah,
That's
I
funny.
need a basketball team.
I saw Musk recently said that having kids intentionally is one of the most positive things you could do. It's belief in the future. It's belief in yourself, and just kind of keeping that going on.
Just having a big family. At the end of the day, it's all about family. Those Thanksgiving dinners and just being and experiencing the world with family. I want that.
I've seen a lot of successful entrepreneurs or different celebrities say that, whether it was Kobe or other people, say that their biggest accomplishment in life and their greatest moments are the moments that they get to share with their family. Yeah. And I think it's pretty inspiring to hear that as the everyday average individual, because that's something that they can do, right? You can focus on creating an amazing family, and that's the best thing Kobe's ever done, because we're never going to win championships like him. We're never going to be on the court like this dude, right? But you can aspire to build the best thing that he had in his life in your life, and that's like creating an awesome family, so that's kind of a nice thing.
Yeah.
Definitely.
What about you?
For sure. I'm just not sure when yet. I'm just focused on Sweatsonic. That's my number one thing. Maybe when Sweatsonic IPOs.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
So none of us are gonna have families until our company's IPO.
Yeah,
that's it.
But when I do, I'm gonna have hopefully a stay-at-home nanny and a stay-at-home tutor, or homeschool.
Homeschool for sure.
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
So, and then I also want to have a DJ kid. So
Let's
I'm
go.
gonna give them CDJs when
Yep.
they're kids, like
Same.
babies essentially.
Yeah.
And then I'll have artist passes for life.
That's
I
it.
have a
It's
whole
true.
plan set
Our
up.
kids are gonna be friends for
I
sure.
know a good
Yeah.
DJ tutor.
That's true. I'll teach them. That's it. That's exciting.
Perfect. Well, thanks for coming on. This has been a very insightful conversation.
100%. Yeah. Thank you for coming on. I think you've already inspired a lot of people, including me. So, let's keep it rolling. I'm excited for the future and the success of passes. So
And I'm excited for Sweatsonic.
Once you IPO, you got to come back on.
yeah,
Sounds
for
good.
sure. Let's go.
But not until then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully
Be a few years.
Hopefully it's sooner than later.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully Xtraordinary is still going on by that.
For sure.
All right. Thanks, Lucy.
Thank you. Bye.